No, God, no, but we have a little booklet on it here. But they're based in Boussy, which is, Pinot Noir land with Chardonnay planted there as well. And I just really think to find a vintage dated grower champagne of this quality, and it's got a nice little serious intent to it. It's very nice indeed. Do you have a favorite category you want to go to, or shall we just keep moseying along through the rosé? Shall we do that?
Yes, let's.
Let's. Go ahead, Jeff. Which one do you want to be enthusiastic about?
Sorry, me. The one that I've had most freshly in my brain is the Grand Nuit, the Rougeante.
Oh,
The frog asleep,
frog
faux
sleep.
French frog sleep.
The faux French. Here it is. The Grenouille Rougeante, which means the blushing frog. That's right, because we recently tasted it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's nice and dry and still pretty minerally, but it's got a little more fruit than your typical Provençal does, and it's a little rounder, I'd say. So it's not just straightforward and, clean and precise. It's got a little more, it's giving a little more fruit, I'd say.
And this, where did they say it was from? It is
Mendocino.
Mendocino, right?
It's Old Vine Carignan.
Well, did they confirm that? Because that was some controversy and discussion about that.
Well, I believe that I saw it on their website, but if you had an argument about it, it's probable that someone
they may
else
have corrected me. I think the 19 cepage may be different. That it doesn't matter. I mean,
I don't think it's 100%, but I do think that's the foundation of it.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's been different from year to year, so it might not have been that last year.
You like this one, don't you? The Chacolina?
Yeah. It's kind of not like anything else. It's a blend. I guess you can do this with rosé. It's 50% white and 50% red grape-wise. And it is intentionally left to be a little bit spritzy and fizzy, which makes it kind of especially refreshing and zippy, especially also because it's really high in acid and it's pretty low in alcohol too. So it's really the perfect wine to actually submerge in the ice and take on a picnic or wherever you feel that you're able to go. And it's just super refreshing and fun. And
we can imagine ourselves going down to the beach in the region this comes from. Right?
It's from the Basque region.
Yeah. Cool. Let's take a look at one of my very favorite categories, Sauvignon Blanc. What's of note here? I think one of you wanted to talk about that Claude Riffaut Sancerre. I don't know this grower.
Well, I didn't either until our rep brought in his entire line of wine, actually everything except the Rouge, which we tasted later, and it's fabulous too. But these are all single terroir wines with different soil types that he uses. This particular one is Kimmeridgian limestone, which sounds kind of, well, Sancerre is not that far from Chablis, and a lot of the soil is kind of similar, and it lends itself to making a very racy, minerally style of wine. And I felt we tasted 5 or 6 different bottlings of his, and we loved all of them. And we bought all of one of them and ran out of it, and got another one, and that ran out, and now we have this, but they're all great. And I just want to speak to one thing, Madeline, that you've pointed out, which is that Sancerre has kind of changed in the process of global warming. Right. And to me, Sancerre is like the quintessential Sauvignon Blanc. It should be, to me, super minerally and pierce, not particularly fruity.
Not peachy, right.
Yeah, it should be, well, reminiscent of Chablis, and I love those kind of wines, so I love this wine. And Claude is the dad, and his son is making the wines now.
I flipped to the Pascal Jolivet, because this is little bit of a standard in the region, and it's not heavy-handed or intense Puy Fumé, but it is true Puy Fumé. And I think, again, for the price point, and don't forget, there's 10% on top of the sale price. It's lovely. And I loved what you said about the character of the Upper Loire. You know, I'm very disappointed if I don't put my nose in the glass and get, you know, austere white citrus, and not just grapefruit, you know, lemon lime, and a minerality evident on the nose as well. But, you know, to pivot big time, we've never discussed this actually. I adore Peter Michael Sauvignon Blanc because to me it's a very, very flashy expression of New World Sauvignon Blanc, but it's got tremendous integrity. Do you enjoy this wine? You're not a fan of it?
I've never had it, I don't believe, unfortunately.
I think it's got just a skosh of oak on it, but not much.
It does, but I'm a big fan of Peter Michael. They
Yeah.
really and truly spare no expense, and they also they pay a lot of attention to what their peers and target customers think about it. And I know this because I was on a panel with them for 6 years, and we went up there twice a year for 3 days and vertically and horizontally and blind competitively tasted everything with the winemaker, and that was pretty amazing. These are super high quality wines. It may not be the thing that I would pull out of the refrigerator first to drink, but it is, as you said, a wine of great integrity.
I'm going to tell you that I have someone bringing my charger for my laptop, and if I go away, I'm going to see if I can enable you to screen share. Hold on, because I don't know. Lindley or Noel, are you there? Can somebody else?
Actually, Jeff is a co-host, so he'll be able to take over.
Jeff, can you go ahead and pull up the website? I may have to go away until I plug in and come back, and I apologize for that.
No problem.
Oh, wonderful. So you're good? You've got it?
I'm getting there.
Okay, cool. So I say what we do is let you do that and then proceed. But this really is a Julie party today. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, we have to make sure she probably has some specific questions that she would like to ask, but
well, she's playing.
I really don't. I've already placed my order, and it's all Pinot Noir. I was like, I've got to restock my Pinots, and so I'm looking forward to what you have to say about all of those.
Oh,
well, one thing I
on it because I thought
I'm sorry.
I jumped on it because I was afraid everything would be picked over, so I went ahead and made my order already.
Well, you are wise. Ah, Jeff, yay! It started.
There? Okay.
It's not showing yet. There it is. Yay.
All right.
So,
Technology.
Technology. Go down to wherever you want to go.
So moving on to
right along.
Yep, Chardonnay and white Burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
So Joanna, we just tried the Diatom 2 days ago.
Yeah. It is an unoaked, no malolactic Chardonnay from a single vineyard in Santa Barbara. It's made by Greg Brewer, who's the co-founder of Brewer in Clifton and also was associated with Melville. And this is his particular project. And I just think it's a nice kind of middle ground wine at a price where you could just bring it to wherever, whenever, and the people who like Chardonnay would probably be okay with it, even though it isn't very oaky or at all oaky, but it does sit on the lees for quite a while. So it has some texture to it. But it's light enough that the Pinot Grigio people would probably be able to drink it too. And it's got a cool label, and I just kind of like it.
Yeah, it's just kind of balanced and easy to drink.
Yeah.
For sure.
And let's face it, oak is expensive. So if you don't like it, that can put you at an advantage in certain contexts, especially in California, I think.
Okay, my battery appeared, so I'm not going away. Yeah.
All right. Do either of you want to go to the Moreau or the Savory?
We got a smoking deal on the Savory, so it's a Premier Cru Chablis for well under what you would normally expect to pay. I don't know a lot about this producer. Madeline, can you chime in anything on that?
I cannot, but it is, it's Vaillant, which is, arguably one of the most famous Lieu-Dits vineyards. And I know the style of Savory is very sleek. So there's nothing chunked up about this wine. But I haven't had the Vaillant, this particular one. Let's see. It should be showing pretty well, relatively young. So that's all I can opine about it.
And full disclosure, we have not tasted every wine on this list. And we got that one, basically, I was having a little trouble finding, everybody was running out of their Premier Cru Chablis, and this was on an inventory reduction, i.e. closeout list from one of our best distributors whom I trust. So, and I love Chablis, and I've liked other things from this producer that I've tried. So there it is. We have enough, Jeff, that I think we can probably pop one next week, but we haven't done it yet. One that I do want to talk about a little bit that I also haven't tasted is the Lucien Boyau Grand Poiseau, and that's because it's Pinot Bureau, which is Pinot Gris, which is actually growing in Burgundy, and a lot of it is interplanted with Pinot Noir. And I think, Madeline, especially in the Côte de Nuit, that's where I first found out about it.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, I've never had this wine. And regrettably, our bottle shot is a little fuzzy. But
yeah.
Have you actually tasted this, Joanna, or you're just...
No, I just was so intrigued by it because I've only seen where it might be mentioned that there happens to be some in a bottle that's really mostly something else. But he actually has a vineyard of this stuff that I think he planted on, somebody planted it on purpose, like in the 50s. And so he has enough to bottle it on its own. I'm dying to try it.
What do we charge it? Well, $29.97.
39. Yeah, 30.
10%. I think you can.
I will, yes. Come on down, try it with us.
Well, you know what? Hold the thought. I may not be flying before the end of the year, but Chicago's a lovely 4-hour drive.
That took me 5 hours, but anyway.
Well, you know why? Because it depends where you are in Metro Detroit when you're going back and forth, because Metro Detroit's big. What else do we have? Oh, we have the Rouleau on there, terrific producer. We've got some, what's the price? Oh, $260, and it's a deal for Domaine de Comte La Femme Rousseau, Goutte d'Or. I remember listing that wine at the London Chop House in the late 80s. And if memory serves, it was very expensive at the time, and it was like 60-ish.
Oh, wow.
I also remember learning something very specific about white Burgundy from La Femme, because I looked at it and it had all these little, floaties, kind of like cigarette ash, and they were lees, because this was, it was bottled off the lees. So that was an educational experience for me. But by anybody's measure, these guys are, Chardonnay specialists.
All right, I'm gonna jump.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump back to the wine roots.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna pull us out of Chardonnay and, well, actually, I've gone too far. Let's jump to unique whites.
This is a fun actually site to shop. I have to say, I think if I say so myself, we did a good job, and we have a new.
I'm very impressed.
I am too. Hello, Irene. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, feel free to chime in with questions if anybody has them. We're just kind of working our way through the website as it appears. So we're on to unique whites. Joanna, any of these you want to talk about?
Oh, I thought you had one on your mind if you're doing
Oh,
the
no, I was
category.
just jumping, but
Oh.
you know, the Terra Nera Etna Bianco
Well, of course, and
is
actually,
always one of our
Madeline,
favorites.
I believe you've been to this property, have you not, Madeline?
I have, and I have to say it was really a revelation. You know, Sicily's beauty, but specifically Etna, very barren, very beautiful. And again, these wines, this is like utterly volcanic soil. The Etna doesn't erupt, it gently spills every, 20 to 30 years. And everywhere you look, there are these, acres of volcanic spill that they kind of wait for about 10 years till it degrades enough where they can, plant. And the wines have spectacular minerality. And this is a grape variety called Caricante that is evidently the superlative white grape of Etna. And what you get is that same minerality that you get from white Burgundy, but a little bit of a different expression. But anybody who likes white Burgundy with very little, if any, oak. This is all a large neutral oak, though it does see lees contact. Will love these wines. And this is, what are we selling this for? This is under 40, correct? And this is
Yeah, I think it's
37.
There we go.
minus 10%. I mean, this is just gorgeous wine. And there's several sites. I don't know enough to give an opinion about the specific ones, but this producer, Terra Nera, was at the forefront of resuscitating wine production on Etna. And interesting geek fact, most of the Nerello Mascalese, the red, is planted on north-facing slopes and most of the white on south. Now, don't ask me why, because the south-facing slopes are going to be warmer, but there you have it.
I think it was wind. It's really
windy up
coming
there,
from
yeah.
the south.
Could be.
So there's
But
kind of
no, the
protection.
Sirocco coming up from, right, the Sierra.
Yeah.
And you have altitude going on too, so.
Yeah, I think although it's not in everything, a recurring theme that may come up here is altitude and minerality and old vines and stuff like that.
No, absolutely. I mean, it is actually, interestingly, one of my wildly intelligent friends, Tim Gazer, did a seminar on wines that are very expressive of specific sites. And the wines he picked include Grand Cru Chablis, Etna for Nerello and Caricante. Germany, I think he picked a Grosses from the Nahe. And then you'll love this, California Cabernet from Obsidian Ridge.
Wow, fantastic.
Utterly volcanic. And it's the tail end of the Mayacamas Mountains. We were tasting it last night. So
when did this wonderful event happen?
Some time ago. I was told about it, and I was very proud that he picked Etna and Obsidian Ridge because I.
Nice.
Anything else? Oh, you want to talk
Yes.
about Sadie wines for sure, right?
Palladius.
Well, okay, we're delving into the collector's corner with some of these wines. I don't know if you want to wait until later or not with that.
Is that the right price on that, Palladius?
It's insane. Yes.
Yes.
We purchased it for much below. It's below cost. It's not reduced. It's. Anyway, I won't go on and on. If somebody else wants to talk about it, I think that's wonderful.
No, I think you should because you know about it. What's the blend?
It's a Chenin-based blend with white Rhone varieties and other stuff like Verdejo and Palomino, and those are grapes that they already had there. He's very into old vines and old vineyards. If you are following South African wine at all, Ibn Sadi is the most famous South African winemaker, and he has been doing this for quite some time. He makes some wonderful reds too, but this wine, I have had a few vintages of it and at different ages. It's one of the greatest white wines that I've ever had.
That's a hell of a statement.
Unqualifiedly say that. And furthermore, it is an example of what I think is the most exciting category coming out of South Africa, which is Chenin-based blends with white Rhone varieties in them. And we have one, Madeline, at the next tasting, our little South African number, that falls into that category for $9. This wine normally, and in the other vintages that we have of it, is north of $100.
Well,
And it's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic.
we have a question about Boyau. Can we go back to the Boyau, and can we describe its character? The Lucien Boyau, oh, that's right. Well, we answered the question, but we
Yeah, the answer to the question is no, we've never tasted it.
never tasted it, right? But one would imagine,
Oh.
I mean, the difference between Pinot Gris and Chardonnay loosely, I don't think the acidity will be quite as poignant.
Right.
Right.
You know, who knows? We're just imagining.
And it looks, I mean, if the bottle shot's accurate, it looks like there's decent skin contact. So,
That's a big question mark, but yeah.
well, if the picture's accurate.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to just say a little something about the white coat, which is in the unique whites section.
The Turley.
Yeah, that's a Rhone, a blend of Rhone varieties, and it's called the white coat because Dr. Turley is a doctor. He wore a white coat in the emergency room at in the emergency department place at I think UCSF, like Laura Catena, but Turley. This isn't about Helen Turley. It is about Larry Turley, who was also the co-founder of Frog's Leap with John Williams, and they are no longer working at that together. But that's a factoid that's kind of interesting because he's also, you know, back in the early days of innovative and good farming in Napa, and this is, I believe, his only white wine ever. Although there's a Turley quote unquote white Zinfandel, which is pretty dark pink, but.
Well, speaking of Frog's Leap, rumor has it that he was already established and had the estate was his, the original Frog's Leap estate, and that's when John Williams met up with Larry. And
Right, wasn't he camping out in the?
he was camping out. He talked him into going to work for, I think, Stag's Leap Wine Cellars.
Yes.
Yes, right. So we're talking history. Where are we going now? Pinot will make
Pinot and Burgundy.
Yeah, Pinot and Burgundy.
I did find, Julie, the typo in this piece. So if you ordered the Kistler Pinot Noir, I'm sorry, because there's no such thing in our store. I don't know where they got that.
What did you get, Julie? Or what would you like to
Pinot
hear?
Noir, this one.
Which one?
The Christum, is that what you said, Joanna? That you don't have the Christum?
No, the Kistler.
Oh, the
This.
Kistler, okay. Oh, I also ordered that.
This is Steve Kistler's Pinot Noir right now, and it's fabulous. The Occidental, that's Steve Kistler.
Okay.
And that's the one I ordered.
Good, because you're going to
Excellent.
love it.
Okay.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, good.
That's all. Go ahead, somebody.
Sorry, you baited me into clicking it, so I'm going back out. Let's see.
In terms of You know, in terms of easy drinking value, that's at a modest end for Oregon, because it's hard to get significantly under 30. I think Christome is one of those comfort labels where you can just go eeny meeny. I really do. And this is all estate fruit. It's all Eola Amity Hills. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't taste like Drink Me Yesterday super easy Pinot. It's got structure to it. And these folks are very, very serious about production. Most of the people talk about their, you know, their single vineyard cuvées, but this is a lot of Pinot for the money. And with the 10% off, it comes what?
Under 30.
Under 30, right. I mean,
Did you
really,
taste that? Did you guys not do a tasting with this a couple of
yes.
years ago?
What we did is we used it. It wasn't 100% Christome tasting. We used it on a tasting recently.
Yes.
Have somebody on from representing the winery talking about it with knowledge and intelligence, and I was impressed with it.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's very good. Yeah.
And they kindly sent me a bottle of the Chardonnay because I claimed I'd never had it. I wasn't digging, but, you know, I got
They
one.
make a nice Viognier too. We're big Christome fans at Plum. That probably holds over to Michigan too. But I did want to give a little shout out to the wine on its left, which is the Salem Pinot Noir. And that's a Rajpar Sashi Moorman organic biodynamic Eola Amity Hills also little project. That's their entry level wine, and it's pretty fantastic for the price.
Definitely.
The Burgundy.
What was that, Madeline?
Let's go to Burgundy.
You got it.
I don't know this grower, Tersay.
He is a guy in isn't it Marcinay, Jeff? And the town commissioned him to produce wine from the vineyards that they owned, but he also does his own thing, which I believe that's it's Dijon.
Dijon.
It was up north there somewhere. So there you have it.
But yeah, it's
a whole little
quite good for
story.
the price.
No, it's great.
It's on the leaner side. It's not, it doesn't resemble a Russian River Pinot Noir very much, which is fine, but it's very brisk and bright.
And it's farmed organically, if that's important.
It's sold, is it sold as an organic then, if it says farmed organically?
Well,
So,
go ahead, Jeff.
no, it's just to say that the grapes are organic, but not necessarily the whole process is certified.
Okay.
We're working on trying to get that sorted. It's very complicated, but basically there are many growers that are using organic and sustainable practices and are not certified and do not state it on the label. So it's complicated.
You know what I'm realizing? They did not create a collector's corner for Chicago. Would you like one?
We have it. It's down at the bottom.
Is it? But some of these.
But they did add some of the collector's corners stuff to this individual categories.
But wait, go back to the page. There's a collector's corner section that you can click on, and they're there.
Are they in both
some things
sections?
are double. Yeah, some things are double listed.
Right,
Okay.
but they are listed as collector's corner. There's their collector's corner. Click on that, Jeff, if you would, to reveal the contents thereof. So you have some very fancy pants Cabernets and Italian Super Tuscans and Ibn Sadi's, two wines, two blends. They're all there.
Are the red Burgundies there too? That's what I would. Okay,
Yep,
great.
the Dijon, the Mayo
They're in 2 locations. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's great. Cool. I digress. Where should we go next? Red Bordeaux?
Sure.
That's kind of your baby.
Let's
Yeah.
Red Bordeaux before Cab. I mean, Cab soft blends.
Oh, well, let's go to Red Bordeaux real quick and just cover it. There are not that many of them.
No, there's a lot more others.
You know, I'm a Pauillac fan, and the Grand Puy Ducasse, stylistically and for the price point, is a really good buy. And the 15s are a little more friendly than the 16s. Can we page down and see how much Cabernet is in this? Because I bet it's a significant amount, but they're not giving us the percentage. Some of them are running, you know, a chunk above 60%, which tends to be, you know, fluttering, give or take, around 65%, the average for the left bank with Cabernet Sauvignon. But this wine should drink like, you know, earth-driven Cabernet with moderate oak and smooth tannins. I've had it in Michigan. I don't remember exactly when, but I would happily buy it again.
So just a note as well, the Chateau La Rose Trincidad, we just got in the new vintage, so we've only got about 16 bottles of the 2015.
But we've been working with this wine steady since probably the 09 vintage or before.
Yeah,
And
it's a really great value.
It's very consistent and very good. But yes, they didn't tell us that because they didn't know until yesterday that was why they kept not shipping us the 15 that we ordered.
What did they send you?
16,
We're
but
not-
they explained it first. So
Nothing wrong with that.
So Jeff,
I'm just saying, if
grabbed all
anyone,
15
yeah.
off the stack.
so we've still got some.
It's just that it's a little bit more limited than we thought.
Mm.
I'm trying to look up what the blend is. It's 60% Cab and 40% Merlot, according to KNL.
Yay, my ESP was
You
working.
got it. You nailed it.
So was the La Rose Trincidad, was the exact same.
Mhm. Let's
Yeah,
go to Cabernet. I just finished talking to the subject in Michigan, but there are actually 3 Cabernets on here that really excite me.
Oh, what are they?
Well, one of them is the Gramercy,
Mhm.
Lower East, made by our friend and colleague Greg Harrington. And this is his inexpensive Cabernet from the Columbia Valley. And I actually have a little mini comment from him because he's really a Syrah freak. And when he first went up there, that's what he was planning on doing exclusively. But then he said, you know, I have to pay the bills. So he saw how well received Washington State Cabernet is in the market. And he has a more expensive cuvee, but this is one that if I were still working restaurants, I would pour by the glass. You know, he's modest on the oak meter also, and but made with tremendous integrity. And just, you know, a flag bearer for the value that good Washington State offers. Hard to beat. And the other one is actually, I haven't tasted it in a long time. Have you tasted that Pendley Kumar 12?
Yeah, it rocks. And again, they changed their packaging completely, and they changed distributors. So this was sitting in somebody's warehouse without anybody paying any attention to it. Again, you know, we got a heck of a deal on this, and it's got a little bottle age on it. It's drinking very well.
Oh, wonderful. And these were, if not, you know, they're really a flag bearer for Coonawarra.
Yes.
You know, there are other producers, but I remember serving this wine or a version of it when I was in my years at the London Chop House. It was one of the first Australian Cabernets to surface on the international stage. And if you could find it in Detroit, that was a good thing. Also, the other one I want to mention is the Ridge. It's often overlooked because, you know, kind of like producers like Joseph Phelps, they're a standard that have been around for a while, but I still think it's hard to beat them. When you taste their Santa Cruz Mountain Cabernet, you know, it's 100% American oak, though you don't really taste it because they they cooper properly. But I like the history behind this wine. I like the story behind it, and I just like the style. It's not full bore. It's more plays in its subtlety.
I think you want to play the last one. Is that right?
What's that?
It's my smart speaker thinking I'm talking to it.
Oh, excellent. You guys
It's
have
next
any
room.
other
I'm really
Cabernet?
sorry.
Any other cabs to
Yeah, well, frog sleep.
yeah?
They have been growing organically since what I believe 1988, and working slowly towards having this wine be estate bottled, which it first was for the 2012 vintage.
That's right. They're very proud about that. Right.
Yeah, yes, and again, this is a wine that it is absolutely varietally true to form. It's Napa, it's Rutherford, and it's elegant. And I don't always put all those words together in one sentence, and I'm really glad to be able to.
And it's a Magnum if you
And
want
it's
to have a party
Yes.
or cellar it a little bit longer. So
You know, it was really wonderful meeting both John and Rory at our virtual tasting, because
Mhm.
it's nice to know that John's legacy is in very enthusiastic, energetic hands with his son, who's passionate about
Yeah.
viticulture. Right.
Any other
Anything
cabs,
else?
ladies, or shall we move on?
Jeff,
What?
you have anything in this category here for you wanna?
Well, we just left it, but I mean, the Truchard's another family-owned producer we like a lot. That's extremely affordable. So
Longtime grower who didn't bottle their own wine for a long time, and now they are. They have been for a while.
yeah, it's probably my favorite under $30 cab in the store. So
Well, I'm embarrassed to say I don't think I've tasted it. So, note to self.
yeah, it's got a little oak, but it's pretty restrained. It's not over the top. It's actually pretty close to the coast.
Yeah, it's from Carneros, so it's again, it's a little bit more of a cooler climate style.
So it's got a little more dark fruit, not as much richness. It's nice.
I think we should go to the Rhone because we love it so much. Julie and Irene, you're being very polite, so if there's anything you want to jump in about, let us know. We're just talking to each other happily.
Alrighty, moving on to the Rhone.
Oh, there's St. Combe. Hard, I just adore that wine. You put your nose in the glass, and that is the thumbprint of Syrah. It's just elegant and lifted and pretty, and it's one of those wines I've been tasting over many vintages, and they just don't miss. These folks were originally, I think, were they from Austria? Then they moved to Burgundy, and they finally ended up in. Oh no, I'm mixing my metaphors. I'm thinking of Saint Anne, but the style of Saint Combe is very different than Grenache blends, and if memory serves, this comes from the lower part of the northern Rhone, ergo 100% Syrah, and the difference in style, and they can still call it, Côte d'Or. No, here we go.
Sourced from the Guard.
From the Guard.
In Val Sobre.
Okay.
Yes, it's a killer $15 bottle.
Yeah, I take it to blind tastings all the time when people are having a hard time recognizing the aromatics of Syrah. What else here is intriguing?
If they still don't get it, they should pop one of these bottles of Gruyot Crozes Hermitage, which we did yesterday.
Ooh.
And we were pretty blown away by that
Was
wine.
it gorgeous?
He's kind of the Duke of Crows. And this is a wine that doesn't have elevation. Unlike Hermitage or Côte Rôtie, it's more expensive neighbors. It's grown in a place that's relatively flat. But Mr. Gruyot knows his Syrah, and this is a beautiful wine.
And good price point.
Yeah.
I was going to say the Rhone section especially are $23 for Gigondas. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, again, it's some insane inventory reduction thing. That I haven't tasted that one either, but I've tasted a lot of his wines, and they're very approachable and rich and full and a little bit flashy, likable though, you know, in a very good way.
I think we should jump into Italy because we have about maybe 10 more minutes and we've got a lot of.
Oh, okay. Go, go, go.
Mhm.
All right, I'm working on it.
Have you tasted that that Dolcetto, the Roagna? I was intrigued by that because I'd never heard of this producer.
I haven't tasted that vintage, but when I first started at Plum, I was able to participate in a meeting that Anthony had with the people at Maverick, where we tasted through all of those wines, and every single one of them was magnificent. They make Barolo, and some of it is quite expensive. They make a great Langhe Nebbiolo that blind drinks like a Barolo. They're a very good producer.
Okay, here we are in Italy.
Yeah, these are some pretty heavy hitters. You know, Castellari is a great Chianti producer. Ornellaia, this is the entry level.
Mhm.
Castello di Amma.
That Gradamarco, that's that's relative. You guys have that in the store before I came to Chicago and tasted it, right? It's pretty
Yes.
cheap, if memory serves. It's got some muscle behind it. And what's the cepage? 60%.
60 cap.
Yep, just a little bit of hint of Sangiovese because they don't grow a whole lot of Sangiovese in Bulgari, or at least not nearly as successfully as Bordeaux blends. It's interesting to me that they really push on the label the appellation as opposed to the producer. That's a little unusual. You see that occasionally in Europe.
I'm glad they're doing it.
Mhm. Is it doing well for you?
Yeah, pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, we went so far as to stack it, so we liked it a lot.
Yeah. Can I say something about the birds?
Oh, yeah.
So Castellari has been farming organically forever. They've never used any chemical pesticides or fertilizers or anything like that. And because of this, they attract a nice diversity of wildlife, as well as, I'm sure, plant life. But anyhow, every year they put a different bird on the label, and they're endangered birds that come to their vineyard. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they may contribute some funds to the protection of these birds.
That's tremendous. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling the story.
And they
there's a nature conservancy in the area that they help
Nice.
maintain.
So that's kind of neat. The wines are great with or without the birds, but that's a definite plus as far as them being good guys.
Yeah, no kidding. What else do we have on here? I think we have that glorious Isodi di San Nicolo.
Again, the birds.
Yeah. All Sangiovese? I think
It's got,
Malvasia Nera.
yeah.
Yeah. Not really sure what that. When I taste this wine, at least the vintages I've had, it's just sleek Sangiovese. I have a hard time getting past the nose because it's so textbook, you know, that dried cherries and a little bit of spice and dust, and no overt oak on it. Very, very pretty. And very fine grained tannins.
Yeah. Yeah, they're class all the way.
Aren't they? Mm-hmm. I know, you know what, we should pivot to Spain because I know that there are at least 2 wines, Joanna, that you feel strongly about and that require a little bit of description.
Okie dokie. I was talking to JB about this yesterday, and Spain is really doing some rockin' exciting stuff right now. I guess they've been doing it for a little while, but Garnacha, high altitude old vine, organically farmed Garnacha. The Commando G and Danny Landi who is half of Commando G. That's what they're all about. G is for Garnacha, actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
I just learned that today. I
Neat.
thought it was for Garcia because that's another one of the winemakers, but no. And they make an entry level of this that's called La Bruja de Rosas, and it's got like kind of a witch's pointy-toed boot on the.
Oh my.
This is a
It literally
wine.
means witch's brew.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, this is the notch above that, Premier, as if it were a Premier Cru, and it is very pale in color, but not without power. It's not as tannic as a Nebbiolo, but it's probably as tricky as a Nebbiolo by its appearance compared to its taste. And one of the reviews we have of it likens it to another Grenache that we wish we could taste more often, which is Rayas.
Mhm.
But this one is $30.
Well, you know, I was just talking last hour about Grenache and Rayas and expressions of Grenache in the Rhone that are, you know, not blended. And people are always surprised at the color, but that's true for Barossa Grenache as well. You know, on its own, it often doesn't bring a lot of color to the table, and that's not a bad thing at all. Because to your point, really good old vine Grenache delivers tremendous mid-palate flavors and complexity. Well, these guys sound like fun.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to
it's
meet.
really good.
I'd love to meet the guys, but they're really cool wines.
What was the other
Did you
one
say
that,
means
The
witch's brew?
Priorat.
Julie, what did you
Julie,
say?
go ahead.
What did you say means witch's brew, Jeff?
The Bruja de Rosas, which we don't have currently,
Oh,
but
okay, right, okay,
it's about $15-16, I believe.
okay.
We would have, no, it was more like 25. This wine,
Oh, okay.
this is not a $30 wine that you're looking at right here. It's a $50 wine. We're just not charging that for it because nobody knows what it is except us. So we were able to get a really good price on it. It's also perhaps a function of the times that, I mean, the restaurants have dropped out. The distributors are hurting and they don't have more than half of their usual
Right.
business, so they need to sell wine. So they are. So
We will enjoy the opportunity, but while it lasts, we can all hope that all the restaurant people will get their livelihood back and we'll start rocking and rolling sooner rather than later. Because boy, talk about an industry being gut punched, you know, and all of us have worked in and around and for and with and on the floor.
oh
And
yeah.
I sure wish them well. You know, lots of little prayers in my heart. But before we go, tell us about that Priorat, the Terroir à la Limite.
Now that winery was founded by a German and a South African in not that long ago. I think in the 80s maybe. And Priorat is known for super powerful reds, usually blends, Grenache, Syrah, and Carignan are, I think, their primary grapes, although there's a little Cabernet there too. But they've got this, the soil, the Licorella, isn't it, Madeline?
Mhm.
Licorella, yep, and it's black slate.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's famous for that. They make this wine with, I think it's all done in cement, and it's meant to be a little bit more approachable and not quite so extracted as a lot of the wines from that region tend to be. although that's also the style of this producer. So it's a blend, and it's kind of funky. It's not it's not pristine, and I think it needs a little air, but it is again a not super dark colored wine, and showing some very interesting earthy and spicy character that I find to be quite likable.
I find it interesting that they describe it, the winemaker describes it as smooth and easy to drink, not something I consider a description of Priorat as a general rule, but I also really like the fact that it's all indigenous grapes because, you know, the other allowable red grape varieties, Syrah, Cabernet, and Merlot, you know, surface with some regularity, but it's neat to see people who don't use them, you know, and who are using.
Yeah, those are the real grapes of that region. You're right. Good point.
So I don't think we have to go over the collector's corner. We tripped over some of the wines while we were going through the site, but I want to remind us all that the entire PDF is on the page where you select store, and that this is going to be a sale that runs through Father's Day. So no reason for us included not to consider something delightful.
Right. So it goes to the 21st. So if you want to buy something before you buy a lot of something, just buy a bottle.
That's a good point.
I can do
Good
that.
plan. Yeah, it's not like a thing that you can only do once.
Yeah.
So we appreciate your company. This is the first time we've done this, and I like the style very much. It's kind of nice to just sort of walk through the selection like we're walking through a wine list and talk about
That was fun.
our favorites. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
great. It was
Thanks,
interesting
Julie.
to me in the announcement. It really attracted me, and kudos to the web. This is fabulous. Somebody did a great job, and thank you to the manager or whoever extended the 10% discount.
That is the owner, Mark Jonah, you know.
Thank you.
And that's from the generosity of his heart. Absolutely. We'll relay this. And I don't know if we'll see you in about half an hour or not, but we're going to talk about all things South Africa. And
Well, Julie, did you have any specific questions? We've just kind of been yakking, and you're
I
our only guest, so.
I asked as we were going along. I hope that was okay.
very okay.
Definitely.
We'll see you another time.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Julie.
So
coming.
much.
Thank you.
All
Take
right.
good care.
You
All
too.
right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you momentarily.
Okie dokie.